Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zelda Speedruns. We've got some Link to the Past randomizer for you today. This is the AD Keys Tournament 2022 quarterfinal match game 3, saltyphry versus Vortex of Doom. And in the commentary booth today, we've got Ninjembro and Maniacal to walk us through this seed. Guys, please take it away.
All right. Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm Ninjembro. As was mentioned, I'm joined here by Maniacal. How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing adequately. Adequately. How are you?
Doing excellent. Really excited for this one. This has been a really great tournament so far, and glad to finally getting at least one game of commentary under my belt. And this should be a really good one. Two very capable runners here in Salty Fry and Vortex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is, the last game of the quarterfinals, which is just awesome. Whoever wins this is going to go on to a semifinal spot. And then the loser of a semifinals match is still going to have a bronze match. So the winner of this has at least two matches left in the tournament. So there's a lot on the line here for both Salty Fry and for Vortex in this one, and both really capable runners have had an awesome run this tournament. So really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out.
Yep. And
And
looks like we do have a boot start, so the runners are given the option of either playing normal AD keys, standard AD keys, boot start AD keys, or inverted AD keys. So it looks like these runners opted to go for boots.
yeah, which, I mean, boot start, really nice. It eliminates some of that variance from, do you find boots before your opponent, or does your opponent find boots before you, that can really plague some of the races. Can be a pretty high variance swing. So
Yep.
levels the playing field a little bit, gives them both boots to start. And then also, I mean, boots are fun. You get to move around
Yeah.
better.
And it looks like immediate route divergence with Vortex starting at Sanctuary, finding the Skullwoods big key, while Salty Fry starts at Link's house, finds 300 rupees immediately, so he's able to just go buy bombs at the Lake Hylia shop and is going up here. I've seen quite a few runners in boot starts that like to start with this Zarashula opening.
Yeah, I mean it's three immediately accessible checks, and here on Fry's side, we also have the advantage of you got the money, so you can buy bombs at that Lake Hylia shop. So one of the first things you want to do in any AD keys is secure your bombs, secure your funds, because it's going to bias toward full clear. So looks like Vortex has found his own solution to the problem, finding that the rupee crabs have 20s today. So both runners going to be in pretty good shape.
And we did see in Sarashula's closet, we found an Ice Palace big key and a Skullwood small.
Yeah, both
Two
ones that
things that
I'm happy to see,
right.
right? But that aren't going to break the game. Hopefully, they're upside keys.
Yep. That Ice Palace big key being the one that you're just okay. Well, thankfully, I don't have to make that decision on if I want to dip Ice Palace or not before finding that key.
Yeah, that one, Thieves Town small key, Skullwood's big, a little bit less. But like any of those keys that swamp big, that are
Yep.
not going to be required, but can open, single or a couple checks logically, can be really, really nice to have early just to consolidate routing, avoid leaving behind singleton spots.
Yep.
And we did see Vortex also using the Bonk Rock outside of the fortune teller shop north of Kakariko Village to get those bombs. Get some bombs to kind of start off. So both runners now have their rupees and bombs in order.
Yep. And there's our Pearl in the back of Blind's hideout, along with a couple other items we found in there. Some keys, if I'm recalling correctly, as well as a nice 300 rupees. So No shortage of money in this seed in the early game. We already found 2 300 rupee drops, so it's gonna be easy to just buy whatever they want.
Yeah, it might feel a little bad having farmed the red rupee crab a little bit, but it's all a relatively minor time loss. And we see Vortex still grabbing those 5 pots. Really just going in. Okay, now we're skipping the 5 pots.
Yep. And a GT small. Okay, it was a Hera and a Turtle Rock that were in the front of blinds.
Yeah, and whatever we find in Kakariko, not going to really be anything that either runner is going to be able to view as an advantage.
Right, because both runners are.
Yeah, you just expect your opponent to have everything that's from Kakariko unless something really weird happens. But it will shape sort of what options they have available to them, what things they may choose to do next. So we'll be looking for some direction.
Mm-hmm. And Vortex finally saying, I guess I'm not going to find any bombs. I'm going to have to go buy 10 as well.
Yeah, no random bombs, but a hammer in the chicken hut. Nice. That is a great early weapon to pick up. And with that Moon Pearl, we're a glove away from proper Dark World access. So might be seeing some sort of Boots Dark World low health swordless wandering around potentially.
Which you just love. Oh. Well, not swordless. A little commentator curse there.
If that's how I curse people, I need to curse me more often.
And Vortex going for the scout here, and just seeing a green 20. So there's the location of our boots.
Seed confirmed impossible. But I've got the boots on the race game, but not going to grab that. And sure enough, Fry also getting that fighter sword from library. Another advantage to those starting boots. And we'll see. Exactly 1,000 rupees for Vortex right now. Although getting a little bullied by the overworld screens.
Octoroks, yeah. Quite interesting, both of these runners opting to scout the race game ledge in AD keys. I feel like that's something you see runners just kind of default to, just because pretty decent probability that there's going to be at least a small key or something that you're going to go get anyway. And here we find our first pod small.
Yeah. Powder to go with that hammer. Might end up back in Kakariko before too long.
The dam giving us the TR big. Another one of those items that, you just kind of assume your opponent has.
Yeah. You usually don't get away with skipping the dam in AD keys. Given that you will have to open swamp at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it, but it is good to have that Turtle Rock big. That one, one of our required big keys.
Another big key at the dam. Which one we got here? The swamp. So we have basically all the keys that are nice to have. And the cape in Ice Rod Cave for Vortex of Doom.
So things are starting to dry up a little bit. Where are you headed here after the South Shore play?
Setting up the water walk here, since we have the Pearl, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Hobo play. And then Fake Flipper. Okay, we have a big key there on the island. But it looks like Vortex is skipping the Hobo. Again, I see either play almost being like a coin flip. Just kind of depends on the runner. Half Magic is nice. You really like seeing that as a runner. Like, it's one of the... It's personally my favorite, like, safety to get, just because it makes so much of the late game just cozy.
Yeah, I really like finding something like half magic in one of those out of logic checks where it's going to potentially speed me up, be a nice convenience, but I also don't really need to keep track of it and figure out what sphere I'm actually operating in when I'm doing checks.
Right. Zora giving us bombos, and I don't know if you saw it, but there was a shovel on the ledge, which could be relevant at some point, maybe.
I absolutely saw that shovel on the ledge. And looks like Fry also going for a little bit of a setup here of a water wall. See if Hobo gets checked here. So Vortex chose to skip Hobo, which surprised me a little bit, honestly.
Yeah.
I get it. I've done it before as well. But with the Moon Pearl to set up the water walk, I was a little surprised that Hobo didn't get checked, but looks like Fry's going to do the same thing, so no real divergence here.
Some people just cared to, not spend the time swimming all the way back, and I don't agree, and I also don't disagree. Like, I think it's a fairly both plays are fairly reasonable.
Yeah, and it may be that each of the runners is really looking to try and just cut a little bit of a corner to gain an edge here. Both the first two races between these guys were settled with pretty fast winning times given the category. Times in the hour 40 range, which of course, it's seed dependent, but I think 140, 143 were the winning times. Maybe a 148 was the highest. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but very sort of blazing fast times for players in an all dungeons environment.
And so nothing at Agina. We see Fry here heading over to Uncle and presumably Hyrule Castle. We'll see where Vortex heads. And looks like Vortex going to make the same play.
Yeah. Definitely one of the more dense options that's still available to our runners. There's not a lot of other good choices, so probably something here. We've sequence broken the water checks, or Zora, and then really only have Eastern dive left looking open. So
Eastern and the powder.
Yeah, the bat check. So not a whole lot of options available. So may as well knock out Front of Escape, right?
Yeah, seems good.
Yeah. So we'll see what's in this first chest here. See what we get. So we don't have the small key. We may see a steal of a small key to break the back.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that play here?
So here, given that I have the hammer, I'm kind of expecting to find a glove sooner rather than later, because
you
just get really stuck otherwise. So I think just heading to to Zelda Cell here just makes the most sense, because you're probably going to find that glove way before you find a Hyrule Castle small. Fry taking a bunch of damage to set up the Death Warp and getting everybody's favorite fourth heart piece.
It's absolutely the best thing that this game does. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I do expect to see the glove. The only thing that has me worried is that, there's also the potential of lamp, right?
Yeah.
With that cape. So
yeah, but then you would need 2 Aga Smalls and...
Oh, yeah. We've seen 0 CT Smalls. Never mind. My brain has been off of AD keys, so yeah, we're good. We're not worrying about that.
So just $20 in Zelda Cell. Fry did opt to take that small key from the second blue guard. To head to the back of Escape here shortly, but taking a slight detour up to check this first chest of the Aga Tower and finding that glove.
Well, feel silly about stealing the key, but feel really good about getting to the glove before Eastern.
And yeah, because that opens up Dark World. Yeah,
Yeah, the cape was part of the puzzle, but not in the way that I was implying that it might have been.
Yeah. Interestingly, well, I don't even want to say interestingly. We do see Fry now just saying, let's just leave Zelda Cell. Like, they can get to the back of Escape very easily now. They don't need to use the key. But still opting to just kind of go through, check Dark Cross, and then most likely / hopefully save and quit. Vortex.
I didn't catch what just happened. It looked like there was a setup for a bomb death warp using the last 2 bombs, and then the bomb went off, and it didn't look like he took the damage. So I don't know if it was overwritten by an enemy.
He had 2 hearts, and I think it was just that the bombs were placed way too close to each other in terms of time. So the iframes from the first bomb negated the second bomb damage.
Okay. Yeah, and so we will see both runners get their glove here from the front of Castle Tower, or the first check of Castle Tower, which is good. You don't want to see anyone miss that for too long, and see what Back of Escape has here.
We have a pod small and $55.
2 pod smalls opens up quite a bit in pod.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of runners of this mode will say like the most interesting decision in any AD Keys race is the when to go to pod decision.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was about to bring up, was to ask you, how do you feel about rushing over to pod and just getting what you can get out of the back right now?
So, me personally as a runner, I'm not going to fault anybody for just rushing the pod right now. I'd be more likely to make what looks like the exact play that Fry is making here, which is to kind of do a top-to-bottom sweep of Village of Outcasts areas, probably starting with Skull Woods. Just to see, like, can I find a bow? Can I find more pod smalls? Like, can I find more pod anything? Because, in that same sweep, you're still going to find so many other items that could just, in ways, influence your routing decisions. But all of that said, again, this mode is so flexible with your routing that, like, I don't hate just rushing pod either.
Yeah, it's interesting because, right now you don't have a mirror, which can really simplify or consolidate some of the overworld routing. Oh, we have Green Pendant Eastern today. It's not all that exciting.
And kind of to make things a little bit better for the not rushing straight to pod, small number of added checks, but you do already have 1 Skullwood small, so routing in Skullwoods is a little cleaner than it otherwise could be. You have the Skullwoods big. There's just checks upon checks.
Yeah,
GT big.
Yeah, that first Skullwood small key is really, really big for making Skullwoods just a little bit less miserable to do.
Yeah.
And looks like Vortex is choosing to go with the start over at Hype Cave and see if we get like a Hype left route or maybe a Hype north to Catfish type of route out of here. This could set up the early pod. Could also just be something where you're playing density, you're getting that out of the way, and ooh, there's a sword here on Bumper Ledge.
Yes, sword on Bumper Ledge, so definitely going to be grabbing that. The only thing of note out of Hype Cave being the mushroom. Nice that you don't have to worry about save scumming the mushroom since we already have the powder.
Yeah, it's a nice upside find for now. Unfortunately, no mirror, so can't like double up the turn with Catfish or anything, but it's easy enough to to set that up and go get it.
And we do see that hype and then head to the left route here from Vortex. So do dig game here while Fry picking up that Master Sword.
Yeah. And so I'd say Fry, with a little bit more dense of a route, but we'll see if that mushroom turns up something. Maybe Vortex turns that in sooner.
And,
we'll see.
Mirror in C-shaped house.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, the North Star looking real good now.
Yeah. And the flippers.
Wow. Yeah. Not incredibly high impact items, but just high routing efficiency items here.
Yep. Of note that even though it would be out of logic, the mirror, the glove, and the hammer does give us quite a bit of checks up on Death Mountain.
Yeah, we'll see what that powder returns here in a second for Vortex. Don't have high expectations of it anymore, but oh wow.
Hook shot.
I was wrong.
And Fry is about to get that hook shot as well. Mirrored right in front of Thieves Town. Checked the sick kid and got rewarded with ether.
Yeah, the bottle was from where there was a fairy in a bottle, and I'm trying to remember where it came from. Probably came from Skullwood somewhere.
Yeah, I believe it was the kind of the quote first check of Skullwoods. If you just go in through the front, a lot of people just head straight over to the right.
Yeah, so not looking like there was a whole lot of advantage to staying in the East world that Vortex was able to get from being over and doing Hype Cave left to start the Dark World. Was that the Thieves' Big Key?
That was the Thieves' Big. So Thieves now, I was going to say full clearable, but it does not appear that we got the Thieves' Small. For some reason I thought we already had. It just felt like they got every nice to have key in the early game, so I just kind of assumed that was already picked up. But it is not.
Yeah, and Fry saying, I'm not going to wait around for the Thieves Town Small, and I like the call, honestly. I feel like I would make the same play here.
Yeah, it's...
Just go in and say, well, not eat the spark, but other than that, I like the play.
Oh, well, we have the fairy, so...
Actually, yeah, it lets you dump your fairy, so you really don't want that anyway. So you can death warp with your mirror. But, stuff happens.
Right. That's why you have the fairy. For those early game 6-heart deaths. And there's the lamp, so...
Okay. So your mountain...
I was saying earlier about the mountain. The mountain is looking quite juicy right now, and there's our first Castle Tower key. So it's... One of the two keys is in an on-the-way location that you just... You know your opponent has.
Yeah. Really? I'm not looking at any of the checks that the runners have done so far and feeling like my opponent probably isn't getting here for quite a while.
Right.
So it's just sort of small optimizations, small routing efficiencies. I actually really like that about AD keys is you just kind of have to assume that your opponent's also doing everything.
Right. Yeah, making that assumption, and it is, like you said, all about the slight routing efficiencies. You can get away every once in a while with, like, some kind of calculated skip. But for the most part, it is a very full clear kind of mode where, you just... I mean, you're checking everything. Like, you're not going into a dungeon and skipping chests with very few exception. It's not uncommon to see some runners, as you said earlier, that feel like that have to like kind of make some kind of skip to just gain an edge. Skip something like cutscene chest and mire. But every single check here in Thieves Town is being checked.
Yeah, except for the big chest, and unless that small key, reveals itself, which I think that ship has sort of sailed a little bit. Unless we get I think it's allowed to be in exactly the maiden chest still, but
yep.
I guess it could self lock. I think it's allowed to self lock. So and otherwise we're stranding a check here.
Yep. And every single runner in the heat of a race is thinking exactly like, oh yeah, that small key is just 100% definitely in the big chest. That's exactly what I'm thinking in Fry shoes right now.
Yeah. Should I steal the key and confirm it?
Save scum it.
Oh god.
Save scumming the Thieves Town small is the new meta.
I think we're not going to do that, or we're not going to last in many tournaments.
Fry getting a little off script here, as Blind went right on the third phase there, but still having a pretty clean fight and getting rewarded with a bug net. And our blue pendant.
Okay, that's nice. Knocking out one of the pendants early. We know Eastern's the green pendant, so we just need to know what our red pendant is, and hopefully we're able to, confirm that maybe we aren't going to need to, double dip GT. That's always kind of the hope, right? That we don't have to go into GT for progression for a pendant dungeon.
I mean, as the runner, yes. As the viewer, I mean, isn't it kind of like an unwritten rule that you just want the worst seeds imaginable? I thought that's what Twitch chat likes anyway.
That's definitely a Twitch chat thing. I feel like I just kind of want races with interesting decision points.
Yes, that too. Vortex setting up the fun Thieves Town hook speed. And heading up here to Skull Woods.
Yep. Whereas... So wait. Vortex did not grab the mirror?
Vortex, I believe...
No menu to the mirror. Okay, yes. Okay, cool. I was just a little crazy. So, apologies.
I was going to say, the mirror was in, like, C-shaped house, was it not?
Yeah, there's not too many people.
Yeah, unless your name is exactly Zero Rush. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, other than people we know, skipping C house is not on most folks' menu. Yeah, we see the runners sort of treading back and forth over one another's steps, which that's sort of the whole thing about just you're going to clear everything in this mode, at least for the first hour or so. And then maybe some skips, but there's going to be a lot of this where there is divergence. We're just going to watch the runners kind of come back together, and we'll see. The only thing of interest that Fry's picking up right now is that mushroom. But we'll see where we're headed now. Or are we going into swamp for the first chest? No.
We are heading... Oh, we got the book somewhere?
All right. Missed the book acquisition.
Okay, the book was at Cave 45.
Okay.
So, yeah, over here to Bamos makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
Getting a small key to pod. Okay, that's really, as you're closing in on making the pod dip, like, that's what you want to see, is as much pod access as you can find.
Yeah, small key 3, a lot less exciting to me than either small key 2, 4, or 5.
Right.
But it gets you closer to small keys 4 and 5.
I don't hate this play on Fry's side. You know, you're right here. It's a little slow, but it's fully in logic to just go in here, get this swamp first chest. If it pays off, you know, it's not something you can necessarily bank on your opponent doing. And if it doesn't pay off, like in a mode that is kind of like this long, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, this check was, and similarly Graveyard Ledge. Really,
Right.
two of the checks, really the first two checks I think we've seen from our runners, where you can say, all right, I can view this as an advantage if it pays off. Everything else is just kind of a push. And nothing for either runner, so both of them are maybe going to feel like there's a corner their opponent could potentially have cut on them.
Yeah. And we're finding this big key on the island here and getting the Eastern Big.
Okay,
so even without a bow...
That's nice.
Yeah, especially if you're about to head in the pod here, like, this is one of those modes where, at least in my opinion, like, you don't hate going into Eastern without a bow. You'd prefer to do it with a bow on your first go.
Yeah,
but
I'm not doing it before pod.
Right.
But I might do it before I'm leaving the pod area.
I'm finally getting this this hobo check here. And just a piece of heart.
Okay, and it routed in nicely because we did find that mirror. So, mirror and flippers. Let Fry save a little bit of time on that one. And looks like before pod we might be seeing Pyramid. Might even see that second chest in Castle Tower. How do you feel about going back into Castle Tower if you're Fry?
Let's see. We got that small key. We're here checking the pyramid. We have the lamp. 100%.
That's kind of how I feel about it as well. It looks like Fry is setting up that mirror, getting ready to go right on in. I like it.
Without the lamp, I'm a little I'm still going to do it, but I'm a little more I'm not expecting as high of an expected return. But with everything that puts this check in logic, it feels really, really silly not to do it. Vortex checking the catfish here. I'm probably going to mirror and go grab that shovel. And we get our Meyer Big.
Okay.
And nothing in that chest in Castle Tower, so really unfortunate.
Yeah, Fry down two slow ones. Although Vortex also committing to some slow ones here. Neither runner all that interested in getting over to Palace of Darkness yet.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to be seeing that catfish play out of Fry as well.
Yep. And Vortex not having that Eastern Big yet. Slightly less interested probably, but I mean, it's not a big decision point. Like, oh man, I have the Eastern Big now. What did that red rupee just do on Fry's side? Where did it come from?
It hard yeeted itself to the right, and I don't know why.
I don't even know where it came from. Was it a stun item? That's the only thing I can assume.
There was a railing that was bonked, and it flew out of, I don't know, a bush or something. It came out of nowhere, and it left. It wanted nothing to do with anything about being collected, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we see Fry really going in on a lot of these slow checks, and none of them are really returning anything that great.
Yeah, it's... again, it really comes back to when do you dip pod? And I wouldn't have been surprised to see from Fry here. And a play that I think I could see some runners, myself included, making if I were taking this exact route that Fry is just heading up to the mountain. You're right there.
Yeah, I really like the way that Vortex routed K45 into that shovel check there. Just had Zora's Domain and the return trip off Catfish to then get back over. And looks like we might be seeing... Oh, no, I was going to say, are we getting that turn down into Swamp? But Vortex has other checks in mind. But
yeah, gonna go. Yeah, picking up their Eastern Big here.
Makes sense. And this would route pretty nicely up into pot.
Really bullied here.
No bully.
I think still has that fairy in the bottle, so is still relatively safe. But you still don't want to see that.
Yeah, the murder cupcakes on Ice Palace Overworld. I think they're zeros is what they're actually called.
And just getting a fairy out of that bush on the island. I didn't even know that could happen, to be quite honest. So, mental note to self, Lake Hylia Island Bush can just have a fairy.
Yep. I feel like I've gotten that one at least a few times. I don't know if I've ever cognizantly checked it looking for a fairy.
I don't know if Vortex did there, or if it was just, like, really pog. Oh, and thank goodness somebody clipped the red rupee yeeting itself away.
I mean, rupees aren't really a challenge for our runners, but that particular red rupee, that one was tough. So we're coming up to decision time here. Fry also getting that shovel.
And Vortex just going up to the mountain. It's
density.
Yep. You know, I don't hate this. I wouldn't have hated the Pod Eastern play either. I can see making this play though, because again, especially with that Eastern Big, I almost want to say if you don't find the Eastern Big, you make the Pod Eastern play. But with that Eastern Big, you're really hoping to find the Pod Big and a bow. Well, and or a bow, really. To just making that first trip over to that area just that much cleaner, that many more checks that you can get out of the way.
Yeah, especially because we know Eastern is our green pendant, right? So that bow is 2 items in Eastern instead of just, 1 as it might normally be.
Yep. Like I can say from personal experience in this mode, like I've had, as a lot of random runners will do, you'll have in your head like a mental like my next couple steps are XYZ. And then you just find something along the way that just changes that entire like script that you have in your head. And in this mode specifically, like there have been many times where I'm like, okay, I'm heading over to like the Pod Eastern area, like next. And then you just find something, like not even like a major item, but just something that just opens up a few things and just sends you completely away from that area. And like, you just kind of expect it.
Yeah, a ton of this mode is being pretty dynamic and adaptable in routing and just going to where you can play density and get to new things fastest, basically.
Yeah, density and like I can go do these checks that might have things that let me do these other things in one dip instead of 2 or 3. And we do see the hair play from both runners here, so a little bit of a synchronization happening here.
Yeah, and we got the hook shot, so we're going to be able to at least kill the boss. Have the small.
We have the small. We can do the basement. Really, the only thing we're leaving behind here is the big chest. All
right, Vortex going for this silly blue boomerang thing. See if he gets it. I'm so bad at this strat.
Yeah, I've seen
that's
people do
how
it a
it looks
couple
like.
times. Yeah.
That's how it looks when I go for it, and then I like clink the crystal switch 4 times and lose frames, and it's always a disaster for me. And looks like he's just saying, you know, I'm just gonna kill the time. Oh nope, he's going for it again. Dude, stop.
I've tried to do it in MG, and I'm like, just eat the frames and hit the switch in the mini Moldor room.
Exactly.
You know, just finding 5 rupees, you know, and that's another one of those checks where, like, you do it, you get nothing, and you're like, man, did my opponent do this check, or did I just waste a minute and a half? Or however long that check takes. It's not short.
Yeah, so while I was giving Vortex grief about the basement strat there and the dumb blue boomerang thing, I also need to give props on a nice clean hook speed Herapod there. So
there's another Turtle Rock Small. Always nice to find those. Knowing that you need a minimum of 3 to be able to finish the seed. And that being the 3rd.
Yeah, and I if I'm either runner here, I'm not viewing that Hera basement play as a loss. I'm viewing it as a push. I really don't think that you're expecting. Speaking of push, there's Moldorm, but I'm not viewing it as something that my opponent's very likely to skip, just because you're coming in here with 5 checks available. Like if I'd isolated it, or if the key was in a really bad spot, and I could expect that maybe my opponent didn't have it yet, then maybe I could view it as a time loss.
And not a whole lot coming out of the Moldorm check and the Moldorm check. The Moldorm kill and just the Hera dip in general, but you know, our first crystal. Now you like to see it.
We do have to beat all of the dungeons, so this is one less dungeon that remains to be beaten, so that's at least good.
And a small key up there on the floating island, so definitely making note of that.
Yep, you start thinking, okay, what small keys do I still need? Do I have Swamp Smell yet? No. Okay.
That's basically the mental checklist in its entirety.
I have 3 TR
over
smalls.
Here. Yeah. Vortex heading over here to Spike Cave, just getting a piece of heart for their trouble. Go to save and quit. Most likely start at the mountain here and just head over to East Death Mountain, following in Fry's footsteps here. Just a slight difference in routing.
Yeah, Spike Cave is one of those ones that you could see skipped. Also, really nice hook stair climbs, both times on the lower stair from Vortex.
Yeah,
got it. Didn't release the spin.
Of that.
Yeah, like getting the hook speed or the climb speed before your spin is charged is actually kind of tight, and it's the only way that you actually end up saving time with that particular climb. Like I think you can get like 20 frames with it or something if you actually do get it without the spin. Otherwise, it's kind of a push.
Here's a small key to pod. Now you're feeling that pod dip is looking a lot better now. With that being the 4th small.
Looks like that might be the play. It's off the rails. The train's gone.
I was going to mention the runners finding their 7th hearts. It's been a fairly low health seed up until this point. And, you know, these are both very, very good runners, obviously being at this point in this AD Keys tournament. But, you know, even the best runners, I feel like 6 hearts green mail, you know, you're still a little cautious. So in that early game, every heart helps. And just curious, what's your preferred like heart threshold? You know, with only having green mail in a mode like this.
I mean, depends where I am. If I'm looking to finish the seed, I want to see like 13. Just so, I mean, like very often the more hearts you have, the more you can exchange, damage for time save, right? Like you have a little bit more buffer to make mistakes. You don't have to play as many late dungeons in one hit KO mode. Hearts are really nice at just giving you freedom to go through rooms and not have to worry about getting the bad RNG. Just being like, okay, I can take a hit, whatever.
Yep. And both runners seem to be like, you know what? Now is the time.
I don't disagree.
Now, kind of worth noting. Now, I don't know about both of these runners' capabilities in terms of minor glitches, but Fry did purchase a potion. I don't believe Vortex did. So we'll see if Vortex can mimic Clip.
Yeah, and Vortex generally very, very good execution. I mean, both runners very good execution. You aren't getting to the quarterfinals of a 96-person execution-heavy randomizer tournament, without having really good execution. But I would be surprised if we didn't get the mimic clip checks here. Yep, like even if a bow doesn't show up.
Yep, and Fry going with the potion clip. Not surprising. If you have the potion, you're probably going to use it over doing the standard mimic clip. Just because it's so much faster.
I mean, it's faster even than bufferless clip, I think, unless you've got incredibly fast hands. I don't know anyone who can do bufferless that fast. I'm sure someone's out there who would argue with me about it.
But finding nothing over there. Oh, Vortex is going to do the hover.
Okay. Oh, he went too far into the rail. That's the tough part here. Is the hover is pixel perfect in X. You want to cover that little like crenellation dot, like the 2x2 white dot, on the rail, and then move cardinally down for, I think, about 30 pixels.
Yeah, 2 attempts at it.
Yeah.
Says, you know what? We'll just go mimic clip. Getting the big key to desert. And the last turtle rock small.
That's another one of those convenience keys, right? That's the I am not going to be. Oh, what are we getting here? We're getting a death warp, a fairy revive. I'm curious about this intentional fairy usage here from Vortex.
So I believe.
Does that screw the camera up? Okay, that does screw the camera up. Nice.
So I learned I knew there was some way to do it with the fairy, and I tried the other day to just release a fairy, and it did absolutely nothing. So good to know that that's how it works.
Okay, and I imagine maybe you need to like hold left during that or something in the same way as the potion usage. At least I would probably try it that way, but I don't know. So if someone in chat knows how that particular one works, I've not seen that variant yet.
Fry, having a time with the hammer yump, does get it.
And the Beatles being what they are.
They are just
not cool.
The worst.
Yeah.
I did miss what was there in the maze, but I'm not going to miss the second item. Is the big key to this dungeon.
Well then.
And I'm seeing it was the Hyrule Small was the other item.
Man. Vortex is just getting bullied by everything here in Pod. This is
but we have
powder. So
we have the powder. I think we have the net also, so we could just catch another fairy if we really wanted to. Fry heading here into Eastern. The very logical play to make after leaving Pod.
So Pod, full of even more keys than normal, actually. Really interesting distribution of keys here, and god.
In the first chest of Eastern.
Wow.
Fairly inconsequential logically at this point. But you hate getting that at that point because, you're just like, man, has my opponent had this flute forever? Oh, and the Thieves Small.
Oh man, this Eastern feels bad.
Yeah.
This feels awful. And we know both runners are going to be in the same situation, but this feels bad.
I can't see a scenario where you find those two items as the first two things you pull out of Eastern and feel good about it.
Doing it at 5 minutes.
Right. I feel like
the scenario.
I just feel like the early Eastern dip for 4 items is not that uncommon. Even if you have the whole game open to you, you do Sarashula, you're right there. Why not?
And I mean, that's what both runners are going to be thinking is, why wouldn't my opponent have done this? And maybe in the previous races they have or haven't made this play. So I don't know the history in that regard.
You have to really know your opponent. To come out of these 2 checks and say, oh yeah, I'm completely fine here. And not only do you have to know your opponent, you have to be 700% sure that they did not make that play.
Yeah, I mean, the Thieves Small just, I don't think it's allowed to exist for either of our runners. I don't think there's a way you can go back to, there's 1 slash from Vortex. I don't think you can go back to Thieves' big chest and have it be, with that being Sphere 1.
You have Mire Shed now. Oh no, you don't. We don't have the mitts.
Yeah.
But we do have Desert. Not in logic to finish, but that's quite a number of checks, and I don't think we actually saw Desert Ledge from either runner.
Yeah, we got the Desert big in the back of Pods, so there's a lot of checks we can get out of Desert.
And I believe that Desert Big was in logic. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was Dark Maze, so we have Lamp and an appropriate number of small keys. No Fire Rod.
Wait, Maze I think is locked behind 6.
Or no, not Maze, Dark Basement, the U basement.
Oh, Basement. Okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
So 2. Or 4. 4. I don't know.
So yeah, heading straight to Desert. Not surprising. Blue Mail on the Desert Ledge there. I think you just grab it, right? I can see not grabbing it, but I feel like even some of the best runners just can you really say no to a mail upgrade that is that costs you 6 seconds?
Personally, for me, I'm only an hour into a seed that I expect to take me 2 hours.
Vanilla Desert Small!
Wow, that Desert Small. Okay, so Desert full clearable. Nice joke.
Yo, Rando is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love doing comms.
Just completely bamboozled by this room and this small key. Oh my god.
So getting the ice rod out of the big chest there. So again, that's something that you assume your opponent's going to get. A non-trolley ice rod. And yeah, Vortex heading straight over here. And the Swamp Small. So that's Swamp fully clearable.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the next thing up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of the point in the seed where until we find something that gives the ability for pretty good divergence, like we're probably going to see Vortex just following in Fry's footsteps slightly. And yeah, Fry going for that blue mail, I do not fault them whatsoever.
Yeah.
Vortex about to get the best small key ever. You don't even get a text box. Like, just flustered by that, like...
Yeah. I mean, how can you respond to that? It's just like, wait, what just happened?
Like, I didn't get a text box? What?
Did someone turn off the key sanity flags?
I'm getting that swamp small, and you're just like, I hate this game. Actually, no, that swamp small is not an I hate this game moment. It's just okay.
You're chill about that swamp small, and especially Vortex didn't go into swamp for the one check.
Yeah, so slight efficiency there.
Yeah, we'll end up saving a little bit of time there. I don't think. I'm trying to think of what Vortex has done that Fry has not. And I'm bad at this game, right? I'm bad at the remember what everyone's done specifically.
Spike Cave, I think.
Yeah, Spike Cave was definitely one of them.
That might be it, off the top of my head. Oh, and Agina and Zelda Cell, as chat pointed out.
Okay, cool.
So thank you, chat, for having our back.
Yeah, absolutely. And both runners are going to take that blue mail. I agree with the call.
Yeah, especially like only 9 hearts.
Yeah.
You know, if I was already sitting at like 14 hearts, I think it's very easy to skip.
Sure, yeah. But again, in the philosophy of trading health for time, I mean, it multiplies your health bar, basically.
I really wish that Link to the Past had subscribed to the Zelda 1 model of mail upgrades, where like you didn't have to think about anything. You just knew that, you know, the blue ring doubled your health and the red ring quadrupled your health. But this game was like, no, some things just have weird damage tables. Like, you know what? Spikes are always going to hit you for 1. Deal with it.
Yeah, the only thing I dislike about that is, like, why should a ring change the amount of damage? Like, at least the mail, you're, like, putting on a different set of armor that something's beating on. Like, a ring? Come on, dude. Like, what's that gonna do?
Zelda 1 probably, like, the creators were probably just thinking a lot about, like, things that don't make sense. Like, they were probably thinking very much like Dungeons & Dragons. Like, oh, I got this random trinket that just made me unkillable. Yeah, everybody's telling you it's magic, dude. Like,
I mean, sure. It's magic on my hand, and now when I get hit, like, in my chest, we're good.
Yeah.
The aura's all of me.
Exactly.
My suspension of disbelief stops at the blue ring. I'm sorry.
Alright, so here we see Fry entering Swamp. Personally not surprised by this whatsoever. Vortex also heading to Swamp.
Yeah, that is the de facto play. And an immediate fire rod. That's great.
Yeah, so that's Skull Woods after this, unless you find something.
Yeah, I think we still have just the one Skullwood small. Obviously not consequential for ability to complete the dungeon, but for logic.
Yeah. Like, in a mode like this, like, some things like that, logically, you know, I'm thinking about slightly, but not caring about.
Yeah, it's not going to stop me from going to Skull, but it may stop me from chasing something crappy that Moth drops.
Right, like Moth drops, like, mitts.
Yeah. Oh my god, mitts.
Well, actually, Moth dropping mitts just tells me, like, don't go back to Thieves Town for the big chest. Really, that's kind of what it tells me. Like, at least with what's still available, you know?
Yeah, we're we're staying away.
Well, speaking of mitts, there they are. The sea just opened up quite a bit.
Yeah, that is an in-logic location for the mitts to be. Speaking it into existence.
Fry skipping left side swamp here. Also, Fry taking a page out of my book and knowing Diver Down, but still being apparently too lazy, just like me, to learn Bomb Diver Down. So we are seeing a nice little cutscene here from Fry. Respect.
I can't think that that's like it's got to be slower.
Oh, it is.
Like I just can't see Bomb Diver Down not being faster.
Oh yeah, like I'm saying, he's probably just like me and has been too lazy to learn it. I feel like most runners know Kane, but if you're like me, you're just like, what is Bomb Diver Down?
That's fair. I mean, it's not that much time.
We find another pod small. We find an ice small.
You're gonna have to get through that door real quick.
Ooh.
Oh, Vortex.
Vortex really, really getting bullied by that that spike, and I'm honestly very baffled by it.
And here comes the fire stand. Like everything is bullying Vortex and being very rude today.
It's not great. It's interesting. Like I like both runners' plays here, so I see the mindset. Vortex is thinking, you know, I'm in swamp. Let's just be thorough. Fry is thinking, those mitts open up a very reasonable number of checks.
I just got mitts and fire rod.
Right. I got mitts, fire rod, another pod small. Like, I can do a lot. Like, I can go do a ton of stuff in Mire. I can go full clear Ice Palace. I can go do Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave.
But, you know, good thing for Vortex is Vortex will also be able to do all of those things, but with Tempered Sword.
Yeah. And not much else.
I mean, that's worth it.
It's huge.
I mean, Tempered is great. You know, this is... You do left side swamp, you didn't find anything super major, but you found a Tempered Sword.
Yeah,
You're going to save enough time with that.
You end up hoping that the the last sword is in like exactly Thieves' big chest.
Oh yeah, you want it there or like post Moldorm 2, somewhere where you find it, but like it's not going to confer that much of an advantage.
Right. And even like post Moldorm 2, you kind of don't hope it's there because like that's still.
Yeah, you want
makes
the
Ganon.
maximum time. You want maximum time for your Tempered against their master. Also, apparently that skull pot is impossible to grab. It was just covered in Vaseline today.
Alright, so
And it
yeah,
looks like-
Fry
Yeah. Ice.
heading here to Ice. Again, a play I completely agree with. You know, you want to come here with the cane, but if you can't come here with the cane, you at least want to come here with a small key. Because it makes the routing so much nicer.
Yeah, 0 small key ice without cane is...
It's miserable.
It's real bad. You just don't want to do it. I accidentally put myself in that situation in a race recently. I was like, man, I forgot how absolutely bad this is. And
Like Ice went from being like one of the worst dungeons to have to go into like a few years ago to being like a reasonable dungeon, but it's like it can still be the worst. Like it requires exactly the cane to be palatable. Like nobody likes Ice Palace.
Yeah, I just dislike it less than I did in early 2017.
Exactly.
Conditionally.
Vortex heading over here to Bombos. That's a check that he has not yet done.
Yeah, good to clean this up after.
Going to get rewarded with a pod small, I believe?
I think so. That sounds right. Yep, good call. Good memory.
Surprisingly.
And let's see, are we going Skull Woods for Vortex? So we're getting some divergence here.
That's the only play in my head that makes sense here. Like, it's not Thieves Big.
Yeah, I am
like,
not...
If it was Thieves Big, I would have questions.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, it's not Thieves Big. Christ, dude. Like, come on.
I'd be like, how are you in the quarterfinals? Like, no offense. You had the whole world open and you chose Thieves Big.
we just got Mitts. We have Dark Death Mountain. We have Ice. We have Skull. It's Thieves Big.
There's the red mail on Fry's side, so very nice to find. I personally feel like the difference between blue and red feels way bigger than the difference between green and blue. I don't even know if that's actually true, but it just feels that way to me.
Only when I'm trying to death warp. When I'm trying to stay alive in dungeons, I feel like blue is bigger progression for me, and when I'm trying to make myself get to the front of a dungeon by dying, then I absolutely hate red over blue.
Fair.
But yeah, I don't hate the Skullwoods call. Wouldn't have hated Dark Death Mountain either, but like I don't think that that's the best of calls available. Right. But you know, there are 6 checks there behind the mitts, and it's one of those things where if you're trying to force divergence, maybe you do it just a little bit early. I don't know that either of the runners is feeling in a forced divergence way.
The only reason I slightly dislike this play comes back to exactly what you said earlier, that Moth is not in logic.
Yeah, so you just have to be really careful about what you do with the information you get here from back of Skullwoods.
And I also feel like we shouldn't expect a lot to be here. Like there could be something that's like relevant, but like nothing that's going to like blow us away at this point in the seed, right? Yeah. A small key like to pod. It has implications. Like we know that pod is now locked behind all the Skullwood smalls, but I don't know if you take that information and like run with it.
So was that the TR small was 6 pod small locked, right? TR4? So
yes.
So we can put Ganon's Tower behind all 3 skull keys now. So that's actually a big piece of information.
And just a compass on PED.
Yeah. So, and I like that. You just found out something big about pod TR logic. You check pedestal to figure out where you're standing with pending completion.
Yeah. So here is the Dark Death Mountain play, and there's our last pendant in ice. So we have full information now. I don't think we know our 5-6 crystals just because neither runner went to Bomb Shop, and in AD Keys, I don't even go there for that information, really. I just check my menu every now and then to see if I have the 5-6 crystals, so I don't even know what dungeons they came from half the time.
Yeah, it's after I have 2 crystals, and then every 2 crystals thereafter until I find 1, basically.
Right. Like, And it's great because, like, for the purpose of my tracker's logic, like, I still, like, put the 5-6 on 2 of my dungeons, but logically,
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's correct.
Absolutely not. I'm like, yeah, it was one of these 3, and it's one of those things that, unfortunately, once you get the 5-6 crystals, there's no way to know where they came from.
Right.
Which sometimes makes figuring out how I got what I got from Pyramid Fairy a little challenging.
Unless you check after literally every dungeon.
Yeah, I've gotten bitten by it before where I'm like, I have no idea how I got this bow, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm dismissing the logic. But both runners are doing the Dark Death Mountain thing.
Yeah, and
there's
nothing
that
coming
small
from it other than
there's
the small key.
Yeah, but
Which,
nothing
like,
else up here.
I'm expecting this small key to be like
Skull 2, Mire.
Skull 2, or yeah, exactly, maybe a Mire. Which actually, getting a Mire small here makes me a little more likely to go to Mire because it's our first Mire small, and that's what it is.
And we might be seeing that taken right to Mire.
Yeah, I mean, Vortex hasn't yet checked these overworld checks here at Mire's Shed and Checkerboard. But, I mean, you get that Mire small, it just makes routing, even, like, without having the cane, it just makes routing Mire so much nicer.
Yeah, and I guess with this overworld stuff here, it does improve the density available in this area pretty substantially when you're comparing it against Caneless Ice Palace.
Yep.
I was initially thinking, do I really want to go over to known unbeatable Mire over basically known beatable ice? And I wasn't really feeling it, but on density now, if I consider the whole thing as a region with the 3 extra checks, I can kind of get it.
Yeah. And now you've actually got me thinking, because I just kind of pieced together, oh, okay, Skullwoods. I was like, how is Vortex, like, this far behind in checks? But then, yeah, I remember that they went and did Skullwoods before the mountain versus Fry doing Ice Palace.
Yep, and this spike cave right here that we're seeing from Fry is, some part of it.
Yep, and so it does feel like, with the knowledge that we have, that Fry has routed slightly more efficiently, with Vortex routing slightly more thoroughly with Left Side Swamp. Which, again, until Fry finds a Tempered Sword, could be a pretty significant advantage for Vortex here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Fry's going to Skull now and won't have a Tempered Sword for Moth, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the absolutely stellar NMG Moth that Vortex had.
It was very good.
Got the double poke, 2 slashes, done. It was absolutely textbook what you want to see from a Moth fight, and that it won't be available to Fry.
Like, fortunately, it's Master Sword as opposed to Fighter Sword Moth. But, yeah, this is definitely one of those boss fights where Tempered just makes a huge difference.
Same thing with Vitreous coming up, right?
Yep.
Especially for runners with
pain, though.
yeah. Well, that's true too. Like we are still missing that. But that's another one of those bosses where if they can get there, for runners with NMG experience.
Given what we know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kane here in Mire.
We're really starting to run out of stuff. Or Bow. Like, I feel like something's here in Mire. And Vortex came over here pretty fast.
Yeah. And the only really other option for items are Smith Chain, and the associated checks like hammer pegs, and the Thieves Big.
And yeah, so this is a commitment to this rail clip. Turning the cape on because the fire snake was in a bad spot, and oh no, now we're in flustered space.
There it is.
There it is. First try. Save 74 frames.
And probably about to enter the moth fight here while we find a there's a skull with small, so we are one step closer to that moth fight being in logic, and there's the cane.
Oh, there it is. That is big for Vortex.
That's actually massive for Vortex.
Yeah.
It allows him to, first of all, route Ice Palace so much cleaner.
Yeah, that's a chunk time save right there.
Right. But we're also looking at an upcoming 3, well, including Moth, 4 dungeons with a tempered over master advantage in terms of just damage output, not only on standard enemies, but more importantly, on boss fights.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to see the, potentially NMG style Vitreous here, which is going to be a big time save, especially no bow. So this Master Sword Vitreous, if Fry plays into Meyer, is going to be kind of miserable. I mean, half magic and cape. Never mind, it's fine. Just slow.
And I didn't even notice, but this entire time, Vortex has carried Spooky.
Yeah, really had some trouble on the left side of Meyer with the torches. Didn't go to lamp though. Used the fire rod the whole way.
Yep. Like in this mode, like Spooky is generally not even something that usually ends up on my radar, just because it honestly just sometimes like it's you don't come into Meyer like with everything you need. Like,
yeah, you came in without Kane. Like that's a lot to carry. But yeah, good fight. Cleans it up nicely. But yeah, I feel like this is also Vortex probably getting to skip Smith sequence. Like the Mitz overworld is really tempting against going into Kaneless Meyer, and I think we're going to see Fry make that play.
Yeah, the only way this really, like, I think we just saw a shift, like, from Fry being ahead to Vortex being ahead, unless there is something big in the Smith sequence. Which, again, in this mode, very easy for that to be the case.
Yeah, and very easy to put this off basically indefinitely when you have Turtle Rock and Ice Palace ahead of you.
And, like, especially with Turtle Rock, not only is it Turtle Rock, but it is, for all intents and purposes, a fully in logic Turtle Rock. Like, obviously, we're still locked behind a Skullwood small. But
and I think the 6th pod's small as well.
Which I thought we have on Vortex's side.
Okay, I thought we had 5.
I think we have 6 on both sides at this point. At least according to the tracker.
Okay.
And according to both runners' trackers, they have all the pod smalls at this point. But yeah, we're really behind a Skullwood small, but like, unless I'm really mistaken, like that Skullwood small could just be in an early check-in Turtle Rock very easily.
Could be in Thieves' big chest.
It could be in Thieves' big chest.
I'm just assuming it's in Thieves' big chest and never checking it.
Yeah, like that. Like at this point, as a runner, especially at this level, you are assuming that that third small key is just super free. Well, not necessarily super free, but like it's in logic. It's out there, and you're just either going to find it because it's just on the way, or you're not going to find it because it's at Thieves' Bag.
Yeah, so we saw the Smith sequence from Fry, and it really didn't turn up anything. Just both boomerangs. Nice stair clip there from Vortex. And okay, Fry is going to make that play into Meyer. Will get that red cane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have much other choice at this point.
No.
I think this might be all that they have left, other than the Thieves' Bag and
yeah.
I'm not actually trying to meme the Thieves' Bag, but they really only have that and Left Side Swamp left, and like if you orphaned both of those, you 100% make the Meyer play here. It's reasonable density that could still have some kind of progression like the bow or the cane.
Absolutely. I agree with the Meyer call here. For bookkeeping purposes, we do have to track the Thieves' Big Chest that is not allowed to exist to either of them until it has to exist.
Right.
Just because Sphere 1 Thieves Town Small Key, man, like that is haunting both of these guys.
And also definitely worth pointing out now, as you know, just viewers of this race, one very important thing that we are still missing is the second Aga Small, which could be like literally anywhere.
Yeah, it's the only thing I think that can still be in Ganon's Tower and required.
Yep.
Although Ganon's Tower is behind that Skullwood Small Key.
Oh no.
I'm not trying to meme this Skullwood Small Key, but like
it's the 6-pod key meme all over again.
It is, right? We're just the next logical lever.
That was. I know it was Bardage's League Cross Keys race. Somewhere
had good times, but Ice now finished. Unless Vortex decides to do Mit's Overworld for
this is 100%.
Some reason.
Yeah, you don't do that over Turtle Rock here. It'd be silly.
Okay, well, Vortex is going to get a chance to go 4 for 4 on this stair climb, and oh my god, I'm here for it. This guy is so good at these stair climbs.
It's wild.
It's impressive to me because I struggle so mightily with getting that particular one off, without like getting the spin speed or without having to release the spin. But yeah, gets a clean Waffle House drive through the second time around. Really, both runners playing quite nicely.
Probably about to get that red cane, and you probably don't feel great. Honestly, I think that might be me speaking with knowledge. You probably don't feel terrible.
Yeah, you just... Who's going into Meyer? Like you've got one Meyer small.
You might feel a little late to it given what all you have done, but like at worst you feel behind, and at best you're probably like there's definitely a path to feeling neutral.
One of the things about Kane is Kane doesn't do all that much outside of Meyer and Turtle Rock. Like, it simplifies ice routing, and that's kind of it. I mean, it lets you save some time in Swamp, but that wasn't really a thing that was going to be accessible in this particular seed.
We see that stupid blue jelly guy, like, just be the worst. To the point where Vortex second time around is like, I am using my cape in a room where you never see people use a cape.
I'm right there. I had that particular blueberry knock me off the platform quite literally 3 times in 3 different ways in a single seed.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It was the worst RNG I've ever seen in that room, and it haunts me to this day.
A Hera big... And, oh, okay. I thought Vortex was like leaving to chase that Hera big, and I was like, why?
No, but doing the mirror out route, this was completely fine. It's basically a wash against going back through the rollers.
Yeah, I think rollers is a little faster if you do so efficiently. Actually, quite a bit faster. Like I've finally started actually doing the rollers in the last like 6 months or so.
I guess with an invulnerability item, either Cane or Cape, then yes. With Hookshot, I think it's basically, kind of either way.
Probably has to be careful here. I forget how much Vidi does to red mail. Okay. Comes out ahead, beats Vitreous, gets 50 rupees, gets another crystal. Probably heading up the Turtle Rock.
Yeah. I don't see any compelling option for Fry other than chasing to Turtle Rock here. The fourth small was somewhere. Pod 6 keep, whatever. Don't care.
Yeah.
We have to watch for this lava chest right now, though. What?
Again, like you have all of... It's actually not surprising to me at all. Like...
Where is the other bow? Where's the... Does the Thieves Town big chest have to be the third Skullwood small key?
I don't...
Either that or one of these other checks in Turtle Rock?
No, you can get here.
Or Hera Big? Like... that's 4 key locked.
Oh, that is 4 key locked, you're right. But I don't know that... Were any of the TR keys locked behind the bow?
No, but the bow is behind the 4th TR small.
Oh, which is behind
the skull key, behind all the pod keys.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to piece the logic together here because AD keys, but yeah, the other Skullwood small is like in Thieves Big or...
Yeah, I mean, I think if we check Hera Big, we might be able to just say that Thieves Big has to be the third Skullwood small. It depends what's on Laser Bridge, which we'll find out. And I guess Crystal Roller and, If Trinex is half as crazy as the lava chest, though, and you feel bad about that.
Yeah, you definitely feel a little bad about that. As the viewers, we know that it's still not the worst because, like, he got a lot of mileage out of that, out of the Tempered.
Yeah, you got Cold Stare, you got Vitreous, you got Argus, you got Moth out of it. Like, that's...
Yeah. And you
That's
still
good.
and you still get
potential zero cycle Trinex.
Yeah, you get zero cycle Trinex, which is not possible with Tempered. And you still get like insane insurance in the Ganon fight because even though like the 1-in-1 with Tempered is pretty free, like it's not 100% free. Like a lot, like, I mean, unless I'm just bad, which is very possible, like, I get the 1-in-1 pretty frequently, and I still sometimes mess it up. And there's that Skullwood's Big. Boom, we're in logic.
That's a double dip of Turtle Rock with the seed once. But, okay, now the Thieves Town Big Chest is, like, back out from under the nonsense.
Yeah.
We can quit our screaming memes.
However, can the Thieves Big still be relevant?
Yeah, it could be our castle tower.
Yeah, that's the only thing we still need for Go mode.
Mm-hmm.
Castle tower small from Go mode, folks.
Yep. Welcome to every AD Keys seed you've ever hated.
Yep.
No, there are other trash AD keys seeds, but this is a classic trash AD keys thing. And there's that nice zero cycle Trinex. So yeah, gotta convert nice a really nice Trinex there from Vortex. Yep, getting the nice fast knockback there off the double spin and facing right slash. That was everything you want out of a Trinex fight.
Yep. Probably going to just head straight back to pod, would be my guess. Pod, yeah, so clean up Eastern, turn in the green pendant. And then head to GT.
Yeah, so I see a comment in chat about the difference between actual AD keys and league AD keys, and I think we have a little bit of time to chat about it. Yep. How do you feel about the AD keys where the fad keys, right? Where the fake all dungeons or faux all dungeons or whatever, where Castle Tower smells are in Castle Tower.
So AD keys, as we're seeing it right now, is a fine mode. I like it. And I think that fad keys, where the small keys to Aga are in the Aga Tower, is also fine. Like, it gets rid of a slight bit of like routing, like interestingness of a seed, at the expense of just making the seed potentially miserable to play.
Yeah.
So it takes away from the viewer experience to give a little bit back to the runner.
See, I think it also kind of takes from the runner a little bit, and there's Fry's tempered.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't like the most about fad keys was that about 40% of the time, because the Castle Tower keys were vanilla, my Dark World was coming via going through Aga Tower. Like, it felt like every single seed was that way, whereas in actual AD keys, very seldom is your Dark World access through Castle Tower.
See, what I like about that mode, though, is it does sometimes allow for like really cool endgame routing, where like if that's not your Dark World access, like when do you do Aga? Like, when does having that save and quit spot like become potentially useful? And a lot of the time, it ends up being mirror after GT and finish it.
Yeah, although with having Castle Tower done, right, it is uninteresting. But then the other thing is the default play is try and have a Dark World dungeon be my last dungeon, and then just save and quit to top a tower. So like,
yeah,
is it really that much more interesting?
Yeah, fair. The other thing is for the upcoming Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament, is there is an AD keys mode, or no, it's just key sanity. There's a key sanity mode.
Keys.
Well, no, there's also there's inverted keys starting with flute, but there's also regular key sanity, but the GT big key is in GT. So kind of like a similar, like, slight change to the formula to try to like not make it as, hunt this specific key that you need. Which we'll see how it plays out. I'm interested to see how that mode rolls out in the main tournament. We do see pod cleared here on Vortex's side. Kind of back to the match at hand here, and we're going to see a mirror straight to Eastern Palace while Fry cleans up Trinex and will likely be heading straight to pod as well.
Yeah, so Vortex now roughly, one dungeon ahead, behind by the Mitz overworld, but assuming that Castle Tower Small shows up somewhere in GT, which is where it's favored, or Eastern or Green Pendant turn in, not gonna get that time back.
Yeah. I mean, that not only did that having that tempered save a bunch of time, but yeah, exactly. Like you're ahead now despite that, and you still have a sword advantage for those. At this point, the only slight optimization you're getting out of Gold Sword is the 1-in-1 Ganon just being completely free versus like 90% free.
Such disrespect for Gold Sword land mode 2, but I get it. Gold Sword land mode 2 is great though.
Gold Sword, like without silvers, I'm still just doing Fire Rod. Like personally,
yeah, with half magic, that's fair. Unless I really want to powder the anti-fairy, like if I get really bullied in Gauntlet.
Yeah, there is something to be said for Gold Sword land mode 2, at least to get like a good hit off, 1 or 2 hits early.
I just mean going for the double spin.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
like powdering, letting all the Lambos spawn, and then just spin and killing them all.
So
there's the green pendant.
Yeah, you definitely turn this in before GT, right? 100%.
Yeah, if you can skip like all of basement, I think you're a madman if you're cutting green pendant here.
Okay, and Vortex is heading there.
Yeah.
Had he chosen not to do this, that would be my first question in the post-race interview.
Yeah, and that would be, Fry's biggest out, honestly. And just bombs, so it would have been quite a call, but not one that Vortex is making. The only loose square here seems like, other than Hera Big Chest,
the Thieves Big.
Thieves Big, yeah, that's it.
I
think it's a full clear outside of GT otherwise for our runners together.
Yep. Actually, I did think again, and this is kind of thinking back to my personal time in this tournament. The only path out of checking the green pendant turn in there is if you feel so far behind that you just need to make up time somewhere.
Sure. And then I think you skip green pendant turn it and you immediately climb GT.
Yep.
Like you're just going straight up.
Climb. Yeah.
You just skip basement and climb and hope that the Castle Tower Small's on climb. Like that's the big pants play, basically, if you really need to get back in it.
Seeing a question in chat, Hera Big before or after basement? I think the answer is just de facto after.
Yeah.
It's basement, Hera Big, then tile room, then the climb. It is probably my order.
I can see tile on the first go round, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, just, I'm already in this room. I will assume that I'm going to have to do it. I will check it.
Right. The only thing I can't see is like skipping tile room to go up to the top. Unless, again, you just feel very behind.
And that is the thing about, 1v1 races where, you may feel the need that you need to get an edge, and we're talking about all these different hypothetical available calls for these runners, but like, I think any of them is independently reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. CT Small cannot be in the CT second chest. We did see that on Fry's side quite a bit ago. I forget what it was.
20 rupees? It wasn't great.
Yeah, something like that.
And we did see Vortex skip the tile room on the first go around and go right to compass and now go left. What is this? Is
Small
this
key.
it? It has text.
Meyer. I actually, honestly, I'm curious about Vortex going right side. I feel like personally, I just like when I'm looking for one item, just going straight left to start. Oh, there's the silvers. That's nice. Huh, it's just it feels more item dense like over time. Like I can get to the that Stalfos room really fast. You have the torch on the way. You have this chest, which is the small key to this dungeon.
Wow, that's a scummy place to put that. That's basically a self-locked key.
Yeah, I don't even like.
That's a 4 GT small.
Yeah,
lock,
I was gonna say that's not basically a self-lock key. That is a self-lock key.
Yeah, so a lot like the Desert Small on Torch and the Pod Big in Pod, this seed has had some very interesting key placements.
A green potion. It's our last bottle.
Yeah, I think I probably would have routed at least the GT part the same way that Vortex chose to. I may, depending on if I felt behind or not and needed tile room to be the out, maybe do tile room. Or if I felt ahead and was just like, I want to just clear as efficiently as possible. But I don't think that either of those is a likely sentiment here for either runner. I mean, you're looking at the clock, you know the times that did win the first two races in this series, but this is still like, it's a good AD Keys time.
Oh yeah.
Even AD Keys boots.
Like, there is a... I don't know all the specifics, but there is a great match from this tournament. I want to say it was... I know for a fact it was Zero Rush, but it was, I believe, Zero Rush versus Matt.
Sounds like a great match.
And it was Boots. And I believe something like a 212 won it.
Oh yeah, that is definitely that's the one.
It was a seed.
Yeah, so we'll see. Does Fry stop and do tile? Nope.
I don't think you can justify a tile room there.
And it's not in basement unless it's the big chest or tile room.
Oh yeah, Vortex. Interestingly, not checking the big chest before doing Ice Armos.
Yeah, you had silvers. It's 3 against 1, and you're going to come through this room potentially. I mean, you have mirrors, so... I think I do the big chest first, and it looks like Hera Big is the next one up for Vortex.
Yep. Completely reasonable play here.
Absolutely, and I mean, the calls that the runners make here, okay... So it looks like Fry is going left, depending on, tile room and Hera Big Chest, the climb. There's potential for this race to be still very much live, depending on the calls made.
Yep. All it takes is for Vortex to go back in and just do the climb, and Fry do the tile room. Boom. It's Fry's race.
I was going to say, if Vortex does tile room and Fry stays on this left side play, which, I mean, those both seem like the likely play, then that's going to close a lot of avenues.
Yeah.
No, we're climbing.
We're seeing the climb.
All right.
And again,
tile room is live.
Completely reasonable. I don't hate a tile room check, though.
No, I don't, but, like, you just went into Hera with the Hera Big for nothing. I mean, I don't know. There's so many live calls to make that, I can't really judge someone negatively for making pretty much any of them.
Right. Again, AD keys in a nutshell.
Yeah. Fry is dumping bombs. Maybe trying to get that NMG free menu coming up. Like, why is the red Stalfos room always the worst room?
Even as a pretty seasoned runner, like I don't hate just using ether in that room. It just kills them so quick, and you don't have to worry about like crappy RNG.
Yeah, that's a really nice full decanter drop there, but looks like Silvers is going to be the order for Landmo too.
Yep. Maniacal, I'm gonna leave you for just a moment, but I'll be back in about 60 to 90 seconds.
Sounds good. Have fun. We're gonna, with Ninjembro out, watch Fry continue the journey through the basement here, and Vortex is going to continue climbing. And I think the big call here is, what does Fry do after this Ice Armos? If it's mirror and go to Tile Room, like Tile Room is live. We're looking at 4 checks up here, Thieves Town big chest in the basement, and I think Tile Room. I think it's 1 in 6. And I don't think there's any other locations that this key could be that I'm not thinking of right now. So let's see what we have up here in upstairs. Oh, Pyramid Fairy, Torsui is pointing out in chat, is also a place with 2 items. So I guess Tile Room's looking like a 12%er. And oh, we have the 3rd Meyer Small. Man, this seed, dude. Why does AD Keys do this every time? So big thanks to Tusi, who's also in this, still live in this, is a semifinalist, for knocking me out of this misery. And there it is, post Moldorm 2. I do not miss Castle Tower Go mode.
I returned, and according to chat, it looks like we have found the key.
It was right behind Moldorm 2. All you had to do was kill him and hookshot across. So if for whatever reason you chose to hover this seed, you got destroyed.
Out.
Unless you killed Moldorm 2. No one in their right mind's ever doing that. But
validation chest, huh?
That is go mode for vortexofdoom. So we're gonna see an Aga, a mirror into Castle Tower, kill a more different Aga, and then kill a Ganon.
And we see a very nice Lamo 2 on Fry's side here.
Yeah, good climb so far for Fry. No major issues. The major issue being that Vortex just has a multiple minute lead. Like that, that's the issue. And it's, did Mit's Overworld, did a lot of stuff on Master Sword instead of Tempered. And small executional things maybe. But I think both runners played really excellently.
Yeah, I mean, both of these runners just like making great calls, great plays, As we said, really early in this run, like AD keys can really come down to a very small number of decisions.
Yeah, like Vortex got to save time in ice by virtue of having done Caneless Mire and found Red Cane. Right? Like it's these little nickel and dime things that add up over the course of a run.
Yep.
And so it's really hard sometimes to assess like where did the time go that differentiated this incomparable execution races by like 3 minutes.
And it's also like you definitely see that just in quote normal modes, but I feel like it's really apparent in AD keys.
Yeah, it's magnified because everyone does the same stuff. Like you don't get away with skipping as much stuff. And man, Moldorm is just being as bad as Vortex's overworld enemies were throughout the entire run. Moldorm 2 is making up for all of it right about now. He is guarding this castle tower small with his life.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ganon doesn't want to die. So, all right.
Moldorm's like, if I never die, the second castle tower key is never found.
And I think that castle tower key,
it's for GT small locked.
Oh yeah.
So it's behind the self-locked key.
Not what I was going to say, but but in Fry's shoes, I feel like that might be the first time in this seed that you truly might feel really behind. Like a lot of other times in the seed, I think you can just get away with like whatever, it's a coin flip, but like that one, you like it kind of hurts. With how some of the rest of the like your choices have played out.
Yeah, like the extra castle tower dip, the aggressive early swamp, the Mitz overworld, the things that we saw Fry do that were slow or generically acknowledged to be slow, and didn't pay off. Right, we saw Vortex dodge a couple of those, did a couple slow things as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, did left side swamp. It paid off. It paid dividends with the tempered sword. But yeah. Still like a very close race.
Yeah. But like that's the third time we've seen Fry go through that room.
Yeah.
With the 2 ball and chain guards. That never feels good. Unless it pays off every single time. Now the first time he got that first glove.
Yeah. Like you have to go with that time.
Yeah, that one required, this second one required, there was one extra trip in here. And we're seeing some gold sword poke dash strats here on Ganon.
Always a fun little strat to do.
You gotta have some fun with the Ganon fight. Like for players who are regularly playing this randomizer, I mean, you're doing Ganon at the end of just about every seed. Like there's some weird modes that don't have it, but you're gonna do this fight hundreds of times, thousands of times even.
It's also interesting because like from a casual standpoint, like this is a pretty intense last boss fight. But like once you get used to doing it, like Vitreous and Cold Stare are way more menacing fights. The only exception being Master Sword Silverless.
Yeah, and this was Gold Sword Silver's Ganon, so it goes down quickly.
Yeah, get your GGs in chat for Vortex of Doom coming in here with a looks like a racetime.gg official time of 1:51:41.
Yeah,
with Fry not far behind. Just entering AGA 1 now.
No, but Vortex of Doom will be advancing. So this will be the end of the road for Fry, but good to see him finishing out. Only a couple minutes of gameplay left. So
yeah, personally, in like a tournament setting, so I'm notorious for forfeiting when my opponent finishes in a race, like on ladder. But like in a tournament setting, if I'm this close, I'll finish it out. Or especially if I know I'm on a restream, like
Yeah, I don't want to make people wait for me to hunt out Go Mode key in like GT Basement if I'm getting blown out. But
Yeah,
if I'm on
this
my
close.
way and am a couple minutes away, yeah, I like finishing it out.
So good Ag1 fight that we see going on here. If I remember correctly, we're going to see one more lightning strike. And down goes
There it is.
Aga. And looks like we are joined here by the winner of Vortex of Doom. GG's.
GG.
Yeah, GG. Really nice run.
Yeah,
So-
Go ahead.
I was just going to see if there was before we got into any of the stuff that was appealing to us or that drew our attention. I wanted to see if there was anything particular that you wanted to highlight or point out about how you felt about the run.
Well, there were two things. I was definitely thinking about game one after I got that Thieves Small in Eastern, because like that early Eastern dip was definitely moderately appealing. The flute was bad, and then the Thieves Small was even worse. So that was one thing that thankfully didn't come back to bite me. The second thing was I forgot about Ice Palace for exactly the right amount of time, I guess. After I got the mitts, I was like, oh, cool. Ice Palace is full clearable. But let's do Skullwoods first, because I had left the big key chest, because I knew I wanted to do the whole north loop, because there's that key on Hylia Island, and I wanted to go up the mountain, and I knew it was either hard required or the Hera big key. So I wanted to go that way, so I didn't really want to like go back to the big key chest and back. So I wanted to clean that up and finish Moth. It wasn't going to change much. And then after I was done, I was like, okay, let's go up Dark Death Mountain. Maybe Kane's there for, Ice or Meyer. And there's that key on Floating Island. And if that's a Meyer Small, I can go to Meyer. And like by the time I finished all that, it was a Meyer Small. I was like, cool, let's check out Meyer. I had completely forgotten I had a full clearable ice. And I realized, like, as I was going in, I think I realized around checkerboard, and I almost double took and left, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm here. Let's go in. And
I did see that hesitation.
So
actually,
it paid off so hard. So,
yeah.
And we're also joined now by saltyphry. GG's.
Thanks, GG.
Yeah, GG. We were, I guess, remiss in pointing it out. Vortex was on a bit of a roll with talking about some of the decision trees, but do want to point out saltyphry finishing with a 154.53, so definite GG's. And yeah, thank you for coming to chat. I guess, how do you feel about sort of the seed texture? Is there anything particular that you wanted to point out about it?
I don't know, nothing really. I mean, obviously the Kane and Meyer is one of those things that always sticks out. It was kind of always there. You could have maybe gone there. When I was in Meyer, I was kind of in my head as to whether or not I actually wanted to go to that left side or not when I was there, with only having the one small key at that point in time. So sometimes stuff like that feels like a waste of time. Stuff like finding the mitts in Swamp, like I wasn't sure if I was going to go left side or not, and then I found the mitts, and I'm like, all right, we'll just skip the left side and hope for the best there. So I don't know, it was a few little decisions like that that kind of, ultimately, yeah, I put off the Kane forever, which, I don't know, seemed kind of logical. Would have been nice to have had for Ice, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, I ended up, I usually do the efficient clear in AD keys, where you go like, since you're going up to the hook key, you do left side first because you're on the top side anyway. And I had so few things left that could be mitts, and most of them were orphans, other than swamp, that I was pretty committed to doing left side. Got a sword out of it, but obviously was not required, especially with the fourth one available.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Maniacal and I were mentioning, like, while we were watching the scene unfold, that that kind of worked out in your favor, Vortex. That you kind of went and did left side swamp before getting those mitts, which could kind of lead you away from doing left side, because, um, it like to your benefit, like you were able with that tempered to do tempered moth, tempered argus, tempered
Yeah.
cold stare,
Vitreous.
vitreous, and zero cycle on Trinex. So even though it was, you in a sense you lose time doing left side swamping and getting those tempered. The location of the fourth sword and then just kind of what it allowed you to gain kind of almost made up for it.
Yeah, I it was hard to feel too bad about how anything went after I kind of like after Floating Island. My thoughts were at that point they were just like, oh, I checked to see if I had both 5/6 crystals, and I did. I was like, oh, maybe I should have done that first and cleaned up second chest of Castle Tower and the pyramid. So I was like debating between that and Meyer, and Ice was just completely out of my head. Which was definitely a lapse in judgment. And if Kane was like just in ice, that is probably a bigger punishment than the Kane and Meyer was a reward. So I lucked out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely was one of the bigger sort of decision junctures and points of divergence in the race. So it was interesting to kind of get your perspective on it because, I mean, as you have acknowledged, like it gave you the cleaner route through ice, and I mean, it led you up to Turtle Rock and away from things like Smith Chain Mitts Overworld. So it was pretty interesting. You guys both were almost synchronously late to the flute and the thieves small. So no one gained any advantage there, but
I was a
did
little
not-
worried about that thief small because that was actually a
Yeah.
big deal in our very first race.
Yeah, I was as well because the Eastern dip. I think I calmed myself down by reminding myself how early the Cape was. That like that might be a slightly stronger pull to the castle, and if you get Dark World access, I did do Saha's Closet before Dark World, but I didn't go into Eastern.
Yeah, I always tend to start in these races just by going over to Saha since you got the boots, so you can do it regardless. And with the 300 rupees, I bought bombs as well because that felt like a good way to start. So you had a full complement of them.
My earlier, like I've been sort of starting Sank and hoping for the best and doing the bonk rocks, if not just to like maybe be able to keep Eastern and Saha together. And I don't know, it sometimes works and sometimes I just wish I'd gone Saha, but
yeah, that can happen in these. I like the fact that we start differently in this way. We can just kind of off on different routes right away. It makes for a more interesting race right from the beginning, I find, rather than watching two people do the same thing from the very start for the first 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think that my boot start in AD Keys tends to be more of what Vortex opened with, but like there's definite merits to both, and getting those early Sash Closet checks can be really impactful because they tend to be later on a lot of the other common sort of open routes you might see.
Well, sometimes I'll also, depending on what you find there, I'll even venture elsewhere as well sometimes, depending on what you find there.
That was, I was kind of torn because I remember like when I got the glove, I had a little bit of an adventure in Dark Cross. I used all my bombs to try to death warp. And so I didn't have any bombs, and so I was like trying to decide between like checking the bomb shop guy, which I normally don't, just to buy some bombs, which I still had the money for, or just doing getting bombs and going to Saha's Closet. And I opted with the latter kind of spur of the moment, just because I know it's a kind of common opener, and I didn't want like a mirror in there or something that made the route super clean. But
The glove in the agate did screw me a little bit because I was fully planning on stealing the key and heading all the way to the back there. So I had gone to the basement and done the boomerang and map chest and then death. Oh, yeah, and that was great. When I was about to death warp, I had 1 heart and then I get the heart piece and refill in the basement. Man, that was beautiful. That's always fun when that happens. And then to double up on that, then I go and I get the gloves right before I'm about to go to the back. Well, thankfully I didn't go all the way to the back at that point in time. Like I got the gloves, I'm like, all right, I might as well check Dark Cross still, and then I just save and quit from there and save myself. But I never did end up checking Zelda's cell. I got the Hyrule Castle key in the pod maze, so that was behind 6 keys, which made me feel a little bit better about that. But then I actually found all 6 keys,
Yeah.
so that makes you feel a little less good about it.
I think the 6 key, like I went in with 3. I put it off like just a little bit. And then, because I think after the mountain I did, or no, but that was before the mountain. I did like 45 shovel, and then the island and hobo. I thought about doing pyramid in the second chest of Castle Tower at the time, but I just was like, no, the mountain's open, and there wasn't much there. There were,
Yeah,
the actual key logic of the scene, Maniac and I were talking like throughout
Hilarious.
the end. It was really, really bad. Like
in the back
this is one of those scenes where you actually tried to follow the logic. It became
like
one of those just don't. Just don't.
The logical multiple dip TR that you were virtually guaranteed if you played within the rules to not enter before you had 4 keys. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, 100% guaranteed because the Skullwood small on Laser Bridge locked a pod small, which locked a TR small.
Right, yeah. But like just like nuts. There was also the Hera big in right side with a TR small upstairs in Hera, but you were like you would always get to TR with 4 small keys this seed. Like I can't see many routes. In fact, like my last like 3 or 4 seeds, I have entered TR for the first time with all 4 small keys, which is like absolutely bizarre in this mode, but it's just been like just the way the seeds have been laid out it's been pretty funny.
I didn't specifically remember where the TR keys were, but when I did get the bow in that chest, like that was my one kind of hope, like, oh, maybe this could work out. Like I didn't remember specifically where they were, so I thought like maybe one that I gotten maybe was really in a really awkward location that maybe you hadn't got to, but obviously that didn't work out.
I remember because as I was in Swamp, I was worried about like second chest Aga Tower, Thieves Big, and stuff for mitts. But I was like thinking about it, and like, you know, if you do that early Eastern dip, you have that. You like say you get the mitts out of Thieves Big or something. Like, when do you check Catfish and get the Meyer Big in that situation? And there were a couple outs that I thought were pretty reasonable.
Yeah, mitts aren't that bad though. Like this was like the complete opposite of our first 2 seeds where it was hammer you were chasing. Like I like seeds like this where it's the mitts you're chasing instead. I absolutely hate chasing the hammer because the hammer can in ice and stuff like that, which just ends up being a nightmare. Like there's all kinds of terrible places for the hammer. There's not too many terrible places for the mitts to realistically be.
Like there's so much seed left to be played in one of these when you get the mitts that even if you last locate it, you're very likely to still be in the race.
In some cases, it can work out in your favor because you probably you might find that obscure item, that Castle Tower key, maybe in a really obscure location. Right. One time, I completely forgot to check a location in Village of Outcasts, and it just happened to work out because I happened to check Hera Basement for no reason, thinking that I had a reason to, and it happened to be a Castle Tower key. And then when I finally got back to that Village of Outcasts check, I found the mitts there by some miracle.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, you know, even those little mistakes and sort of the trickle downs of those sorts of things can really be impactful in the experience in a seed. And I think that's a really good point about, you know, like when do you get to Catfish if you have those mitts early, right? Like what happens? And so you can feel pretty safe as long as you're continuing to just full clear fairly efficiently, because there's just so many darn things you need in AD keys.
Like a mid-locked bow on the mountain or something. Well, I guess there was, like, it was there. But
Yeah, there in fact was behind all of the TR smalls behind the laser bridge key.
Yeah. but that was my only like real fear with like mitts somewhere that, if you sequence things slightly differently, you could have gotten to. Because then you could have potentially single dipped pod in Eastern. But it ended up not being like just in the Dark Death Mountain checks anyway. And then the mitts were not somewhere that you were likely to get super early. So,
I mean, single dipping pod in Eastern and all dungeons keys is extremely rare. So counting on that, I don't know about it, right? Like I usually I'm generally pretty happy with two. Like I did it in two hole dips this time, and that's kind of you're pretty happy with that usually, right?
I usually I think about whether it's possible, and I have in one of my races against Illis, Eastern Big was in Crystal Roller and Ice Rod was just in Compass Chest of Eastern, and I managed to avoid the early dip of Eastern. So I was like, oh man, I single dipped Eastern this seed, but most people probably single dip TR because they're a little less hesitant to dip it. So that ended up playing a big part in my decision making in that seed. So it was kind of like, well, if I can avoid going back up the mountain, then I just traded a dip of Eastern for a dip of TR, which means I came out 30 seconds behind, but it's not a big deal. Which ended up leading me to go mode a little faster. And those decisions and stuff, where do I lose time? Where did I was feeling very, very bad about how long the door state extension in Meyer took me right up until I got that cane, because I was like, I shouldn't even be here, and I'm taking 30 seconds to do a trick that isn't even worth it if you get it first try barely. But
yeah, there were a number of little instances like that. I felt like there were just a lot of screens for you, Vortex, where your enemy RNG was just absolute trash. It felt like there was just a lot of instances where you were just getting relentlessly bullied by just nonsense. And I know it happens to everyone on screens, but it just felt like you were just on a really bad run. And then, then Fry had Moldorm to make up for all of it and just be completely incorrigible and really guard that last castle tower key. But
a lot of that was also frustration at that point on my part, because I was kind of resigned to the fact that I was probably going to have to hunt for that castle tower key, not thinking that it was going to be in that very last chest there. So I just obviously full cleared all of GT, feeling like I got nothing.
Been there as recently as a few hours ago. I had maybe the worst Trinex fight of my life because I was so convinced that the big key was going to be on GT Torch when I entered in a race earlier today. So, sometimes that stuff gets in your head and it just influences your execution in the moment. But Moldorm wasn't particularly nice either.
Yeah, because with the places I had left at that point in time, I was kind of resigned that I was almost certainly to have lost. Maybe the Thieves Town big chest is kind of that one where it's okay, we could both have maybe done that, but I didn't feel good about left side swamp, obviously.
What did you have left?
I had Thieves Town big chest, left side swamp, Hera big, Pyramid Fairy, and Zelda. Yeah, I never bothered doing Pyramid Fairy because one thing I did know is that Hera was a 5/6 crystal, so that encouraged me to keep putting that off. I noticed that when I was plum jumping in pod.
I didn't check the 5/6, or I didn't think to look at that point. I didn't know whether they were in logic, but only a couple of my crystals were, so I didn't really want to rush it. But yeah, I just had Pyramid Fairy Pyramid, second chest Castle Tower, Thieves Big, and then Tile Room GT.
I basically gave a big
Yeah.
loop around the Dark
Smiths.
World at the stop, so I kind of got everything.
Oh yeah, and Smith Chain. Yes, that as well.
I
Yeah,
might
I
have
think
put off
that's-
Smith had I originally I had meant to go do Skull Woods, I think, before I went up to the mountain, but I accidentally fluted to one, so I'm like, we'll just check the Dark Mountain while I'm up here now, and I'll do Skull Woods afterwards. Just a little mistake. And if I'd done Skull Woods first, if I would have just mirrored afterwards and fluted on up to the mountain, who knows? If I might have gone to Meyer, might have done them Smith check, who knows in that situation.
Yeah, I mean the Smith Chain was. It was definitely like pulling at me a little bit. I was wondering if do I do that before? If I've really committed to cane not being in ice when you go to Meyer before ice, and until I found the cane there, I was like, well, do I do Smith Chain before going to ice? And
I also had the shovel to do as well at that point in time, which also helped a little bit, encourage me to do that. It seemed like the obvious time to do that. There was never going to be another one.
Did that with 45 before I got the Eastern Big off Hylia Island, which I wanted to do before going up the mountain, because I knew it was either the Hera Big or it was a hard required key, and so I didn't want to just leave the big key sitting there before I went to Hera. So I did 45 and I had the shovel because I did Catfish. I did the North Loop first time because I'd seen that shovel sitting there.
Yeah, I basically started in Skull Woods and did a big kind of U all the way around, and I was able to work my way back across also to hit Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb as well. So I kind of got it all in one kind of loop that way.
Yeah, starting Village of Outcasts would have been very nice this seed because I started Hype, went to Dig, and then I got the mirror, and it was a bit awkward.
Yeah, I can see that for sure that way.
And then I got the book out of Cave 45, and I had to decide, am I doing this shovel that I just got, or am I doing Bombos Tablet? I didn't really want to do both, because, that's so much time spent around the first chest of Swamp, and, it feels like you have to go in, and I didn't want to go in, so I didn't want to do Bombos.
Yeah, I did end up checking both those with Bombos and the first chest of Swamp during my little loop as well. I always kind of check that just because the first chest doesn't feel that bad, right?
No, it doesn't. But I sort of didn't want to do all that looping around. I didn't want to do the shovel and...
Yeah, yours was a lot more zigzaggy than mine was. Mine was just kind of all in a nice kind of loop that worked out reasonably well. And I was able to get the shovel at the very end. But then, the shovel was the one thing that kind of got abandoned for me because I got that at the very end of my loop after doing Catfish.
There's always enough stuff to do that never seems as a one-off something to go back for. So I've definitely been there.
Yeah, a lot of those decisions, especially with the front of Swamp Palace, the dig spot Bombos, we were kind of talking about as you guys are kind of saying do you route in the front of Swamp, or do you just kind of leave it? But it's definitely part of what made it a really interesting seed. But it looks like we're about ready to wrap up here. Any last minute words, either of you, either Vortex or Fry?
I'll just say GG. Thanks a lot for the restream and everything, and good luck going forward, Vortex.
Yeah, thanks so much, GG's. It was a great series. It definitely, all three seeds could have gone either way very easily. It was an honor to race you. And I've had a great time at the tournament. Thank you guys so much for putting the restream together. I know we scheduled the race today, so there can't have been much time. So thanks so much for that. And that's all I have.
Yeah. I noticed at 7 p.m., 2 hours before the race, I was like, let's see if we can get a crew together. And we managed to. So thanks for the run, guys. Everybody still hanging out, make sure you give both of the runners a follow, vortexofdoom and saltyphry. They put on a great show. Their streams are showing up there on the screen and in the chat. Again, excellent time doing co-coms with Maniacal. Thank you to our trackers as well. We had So last summer doing tracking and top file. So thank you to both of them as well. And thank you to the restreamers and to everybody who's able to put this together, ZeldaSpeedRuns. And I'm not too sure if Maniacal is still around. He had messaged me saying that he had to hop
I'm
out.
here.
Oh, he's here. Okay. So again, thank you, Maniacal, and for doing some comments with me. This is a great one. But yeah,
thanks for roping me in, dude. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I got a text, like I said, a couple hours before the race. Ninjember said, "Hey, you want to commentate an AD Keys match?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" And it was a really good one. So again, big GGs to our runners, and thanks for the invite, Ninjember. I'll let you shut it down.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for watching. And I think the tournament's not over yet. vortexofdoom is going on to face off against Humbug, and also in the semifinals is Gamachu and 2C. So hopefully in the near future we'll be able to bring out some more AD Keys action. But until then, we'll see you guys soon. And thank you all for hanging out.